Hello and welcome back to another episode of Supercoach Insider. My name is Ben,
And I'm Chris.
and thank you for joining us. We're going to talk rookies, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to break this up into three compartments for our compadres. I think I fucked that up, Chris.
Compadres. Maybe you should start with the socials, boy, and work our way backwards.
Okay, it's 100. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, and also all the audio platforms as well. So Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, you name it, and the YouTube, Chris.
Just search for a Supercoach Insider, which is popping off. Where I may have told a fib, but about a few weeks ago when we started this whole monetization thing, we were only making $2 per 1,000 views. But now, Ben, now it's happening.
It's
We're
cracking.
making $8 per 1,000 views. So basically, what I'm saying is I can quit my full-time job in about, another 150,000 views per week.
There you go. Also shouting out as well to a sponsor, splashvodka.com.au.
Oh, yes.
I went the orange one before, Chris. Now I'm going with the watermelon and pomegranate.
I'm not a watermelon fan, but I've heard that it's okay. So
yeah, I quite like the orange one. Hey, that's what I actually prefer that one.
Mm.
So I've been cracking into that as well. So go check them out as well. Also earnu.io as well. Check out my weekly update as well with earning free cryptocurrency on a betting platform. So you can get up to speed with that. SC Insider 100 if you want to put us in as a referral. Chris, rookie conundrum this week. Now,
Look, I suppose there is a conundrum. I mean, let's get the number one out the way. I mean, Sam Hayes is obviously quite clearly the number one rookie target. However, unfortunately, some people might not be able to get him in until the savior, Brodie Grundy, goes down with an injury.
yes.
Which is pretty much opening the door for anyone who didn't previously have plans to get Sam Hayes to now get Sam Hayes, which is pretty cool. Obviously he's quite easily the best rookie available, and is probably the best downgrade option that we've had so far this year, given ruck role, job security, price point, like you name it. He's the best downgrade option that we've had by an absolute mile. So. What do you think you can average though, realistically, as the number one ruck there at Port?
Look, I'll say 80 plus.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could go 80. Do you know what I mean? The more he plays, I think he'll get more match fitness because AFL's a bit quicker as well. So I think the more he plays, he'll get better at it. I think 80 is reasonable. He's going to have some high games occasionally, but generally I was going to say all rucks get 80 when they walk onto the park, but I think Max Lynch only got like 50 as the number one ruck. So I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, Max Lynch's tank's a bit of a worry, and look, I think that's probably the one concern as well with Sam Hayes and most young rucks. I mean, it's a very physical role, so there's that. But here's what I love about Sam Hayes: his ruck run's actually really good. So he's obviously got let's call it a pretty tough matchup. I think Marshall probably does come back this week, and Ryder probably comes back as well. So those two, if they do both play, is obviously a tough matchup. But then he's got Western Bulldogs, who may or may not have Tim English, and if they do, he's not the best tap ruckman anyway. Then they've got North with obviously either Cherry or CCJ as the number one ruck with Goldie supporting. Geelong, so Stanley is sometimes he's a very good negating ruckman, but not necessarily a good offensive ruckman. Essendon, so Draper. Then he's got Nankin Soldo, and then Hickey round 14. So and then it doesn't really get hard until round 15, which is by then you probably have traded him because that's well after the buys. And then he's got Witts and Darcy back to back. So and Gorn after GWS. So realistically, he's got a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 rounds if you really wanted to get into it to make cash. I probably think you only really need him to the buy though, which is in round 12. He does have the first buy, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 price rises out of him. It's almost too good to be true. So, absolutely lock. If you don't have him, or try and find a way that you can actually get him in, because I think he's going to be one of the ones that you're really going to miss if you don't have him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Sam as well. He's been waiting in the wings. Rumor is they've been hazing him for a while, Chris. Good old Sammy. So, look, there it is.
I like it. I like it a lot. What?
Oh, that's a bit
What is
weird.
that?
I was about to say, lock it up. You lock it up. What's going on with these sound effects? Hang on a second. Okay. There we go. That one's better. That lock it up
That
one
is fun.
can go. That's disappointing. Yeah, no, I do agree in that. And even then, if you need ruck cover for the buy, like say you've got good coverage in a lot of other positions, even keeping Hayes for those extra 2 rounds and then getting him on isn't actually the worst case scenario. Just depending on your rucks, and obviously the buys as well. Max Gorn obviously having the last buy round. Other than Max Gorn, most of the rucks are absolutely cooked. I mean, English, we're going to get into that on our little segment anyway, talking about Grundy and the conundrum and all of the different scenarios that'll
Hmm.
play out because that is the big issue this week. But yeah, there's not a lot there, so I think it's definitely a good value pick. He's definitely going to be making you cash, and I think he will get better as he plays. But again, hit out to advantage, I think, is pretty much his strength, and I think the
Yeah.
tank will improve the more he plays. So um,
And as a tap ruckman, when he's coming up against, as I said, this week's probably going to be a bit tougher. But English, obviously not a very good tap ruckman. Cherry, not the best tap ruckman. Stanley, I get Draper. All these guys aren't really great tap ruckmen in the first place. So he's got an opportunity to score quite well in those rounds. And personally, I think he's one of the best on-field scorers that we have currently as a rookie. Um, Looking at my team, and I know my team is different than a lot, I would much rather have him on field than quite a lot of the rookies that I'm looking at fielding. So, yeah, absolute lock. Yeah, throw away the key. I personally think I mean, you don't necessarily have to have him on field. That's if you've got decent guys to cover. But I think for the next couple of rounds, he's not your worst option. At least until say an English gets back from injury, and then you can reassess and then go from there. But I think at least for now, this week and maybe the next week or whatever, not bad at all.
yeah, I think that's key. If you are one of those people that got burnt by rookies last week, if you got a Horn Francis, a Rochelle, even like a Driscoll's gone well a couple of weeks, but he was a little bit disappointing just gone. If you're playing these people on field, then you could do a lot worse than having Hayes on field. And he's going to
Yeah.
have a much better base than a lot of his other rookies, which is where that strategy comes in. Speaking of strategies, Chris, now some people passed on Pruess last week. They're like, I've got Gaundy, I'm set, guys, set and forget. Don't need a $200,000 ruck in the wings. Even if he goes 86 the next 2 weeks, which is what he's predicted to go, he's still going to make 100,000 over the next 2 weeks. He's the second cash cow based on profit for this week. Where do you stand? Do you think if you've got a Grundy scenario, do you think Pruess is still a must have or?
Look, information changes weekly. I'll say a couple of things. Information does change weekly, but right now, if you were to pause the stats of Braden Pruess for the first 3 weeks, his points per minute are 1.3, which is higher than Max Gorn. It's higher than any other premium ruck. So, what does that mean? That's rough because I would love to say that Pruess is not going to be a premium ruck for the season because his durability issues and his suspension issues and whatever else it may be. But the stats are there to suggest that Pruess could actually hold R2 if he was number one ruck. So eventually, when Matt and obviously the Matt Flynn and Pruess scenario worked last week, but that's not to say it's going to work every week. Um, and if he stays fit and healthy and doesn't get suspended, there is a chance, an outside chance, that Pruess actually becomes a keeper for the season, especially with Grundy down for 12 weeks, Darcy proving that he can't stay on the field longer than 3 quarters, English currently injured. You'd be, I'd be very tempted to bank the cash, know that you're going to make at least 100K, and then reassess in a few weeks. I can tell you that. So I actually think that I'd do it. And you got to remember as well, you will be playing catch up because who else are you playing if you don't have Pruess this week? So let's say you've got Gorn and you had Grundy. Who else are you bringing in? Are you sideways in Grundy? I don't know if 2-2. Like who's the second best ruck? Rob, maybe.
It's
Uh,
Wits and then Pruess. Outside
Wit,
of
yeah,
English, yeah, it's
I don't
crazy.
know.
Hey, it's crazy.
So I'm
What's happened
like,
to the world?
I mean, look at it this way. Would you rather have, say, Pruess and then sideways Grundy to another premium in midfield to get another premium off the field? I mean, this is probably something more into the premium chats, but I think strategy wise, I think Pruess is still the go. I think you just do it. I think you just pay the money. I know that I would not be normally saying that, but the stats just say that Pruess is just right now, he's currently the best ruckman in the league. That's silly to
Yeah, as far
say.
as price, yeah, talking about points per minute.
Yeah,
And
exactly
realistically,
right.
if
Well, the only other so obviously with Gorn's 160 earlier this year. So for that one game, he had a PPM of 1.5.
right,
So that's the highest.
yeah, yeah.
But
But the rucks
as an
are screwed
average,
anyway. If there was like a glaringly obvious other ruck, right? We're talking about people that probably already have gone or just anything in general at this moment. But if there was a glaringly obvious other ruck, then it'd be like,
mm,
okay, well you can go Grundy into another ruck. Whereas Pruess, based on his price and what he's actually outputting at the moment, and the fact that all the rucks are cooked this year,
mhm.
is it's so much uncertainty where you're like, like I understand where you come from, Chris, particularly with that position. But Bruce, again, yeah, 100,000 over the next 2 weeks, even if he goes 86, which he's going at a 107. So I think it is a good option to go if you haven't already gone there. It's not too late until after this week, then it'll definitely be too late.
Oh, you cooked if you wait another week because he'll be 400k and you're not making cash then. It's just a
Correct. And
waste
then
of
it's
time.
silly. Let's talk about Roses. Gold Coast plays 130K, so slightly more than the usual barn. You're extremely excited because you were going to miss out on him last week, but all of a
Oh,
sudden,
I'm so I
bit of a
got
calf
kissed.
injury. I shat the bed because I had no idea. It would have been nice if it said, "Hey, he nearly got up for the game, ladies and gentlemen. He nearly got up for the game, but he's got a bit of a calf issue, so he should be right next week." No, just a laid out calf issue, like calf injury. And I'm like, is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? Fuck no. So I ended up trading him to Hobbs, and then Hobbs shat the bed. So pretty much I ended up literally covered in shit within about a good 2 hour period of a day. So talk about him though, Chris, because he did score well. He got a 74 in his last game. Um, Break even of -71. Predicted to go up 53,000 this week, and that's even if he doesn't even score that well. I think. Let me have a look at his
Yeah, I mean,
projected
regardless,
47. So
yeah, regardless of what happens, he's going to make you cash. That's a given. Now, the coach said, so Stewie Jew said after the game that it was a light calf, and the reason why they didn't pull the trigger on the all the way during the week is because they wanted to. It wasn't so bad that he probably could have played, and they gave him right up until the match time to prove his fitness before pulling the plug. So to me, that says that he's definitely back this week because it sounds like first of all, they want to play him, and second of all, the injury was really, really light. So if he almost played last week, he should be back this week. Um, I obviously, again, from last week's pod, I was very impressed with him so far. In the VFL, he obviously played a little bit further high and higher up the ground, but he's still getting quite a good role because he's getting CBAs, he's getting up around the ball, and even when he goes forward, unfortunately, he hasn't kicked any goals yet, but there's still some points that he's left on the table. So um, I'm not expecting the world, but for a basement price rookie, if you can average a 60, that's way better than some of the rookies that we've had to have in our pine this year. And realistically, I'm not looking to have him on field.
no,
So I don't really need to even have him to score. I just need to make him cash. So for me, it's more about consistency. He's already had a couple of decent scoring weeks. If he bumps to 60 this week, he immediately makes you 60K or whatever it may be. If he gets an 80 this week, wow, okay, he's up to 200K, and then he probably makes 250K in the next.
yeah,
Gets you up to 250K within the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, you run the risk of if you don't have him that he could be one that just burns you because you didn't bring that in, and you do need that cash gen. So I think if you can get him in again, I would recommend. But I know a lot of people have. So yeah, they just flew the risk and went, well, I've got whatever as my emergency. I'll just bring in Roses anyway. And unfortunately, a lot of people got burned with either having to field the Jack Hayes emergency or a rookie that didn't score quite well. Because I know a lot of I had I don't know about you, but I had not on field. And I had who else scored really bad? Or Butters, I had on field as well. Luckily, I avoided Hayes. But thanks to you, by the way. Thank you very much.
you're
Tip the
welcome.
cap, like so. But my other forward rookie is Kane Baldwin, and he scored me a 24. So sick. Can't wait for that. Yeah, I think he might make his break even because it's like 22 this week. Like he's not very good. Outside of that, obviously, so we've got a couple other
Can I just
rookies
say
on the
on
bubble.
Roses as well is I think he had like 7 tackles, still got a little bit of midfield time as well. Looked quite dynamic, and I think that's why for me, it sells a little bit better. It's not just like,
Mhm.
oh, he's a small forward. He's actually applying tackles. He's getting some midfield time, getting up the ground a little bit. That just is better for some scoring potential.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Speaking about other options there, Chris, can we talk about what is it, Callaghan?
Yeah,
Now,
Callahan.
yeah, because
Yep.
I had someone on Twitter today as well saying, "Oh, Callaghan and I usually pick quite a few expensive rookies and it works out each year." And I'm like, "Yeah, but the guy's 198,000, and yes, he got a 62, I think it was. No, was it a 76 last week? 62 average overall, and the issue is that the difference between that 70 to $80,000 that you're paying extra for, that's the difference between Petrarca and a Clary. That's the difference
Mhm.
between going a guy who might be top 10 and he's a little bit inconsistent to going a bona fide premium. The points on field is huge, right? Then again, he has the first buy, so he won't even get many games before his buy. He also plays for Leon Cameron, which is that's a big issue, right? So it's kind of one of those ones where, and we've already seen with Ward from Hawthorn, he gets midfield time, he has a good role, he's meant to be a pretty good beast that we all liked. And yes, Callahan's taller and all the rest of it, but it's like he's 150 or 60 away from really stagnating in his cash generation. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think you can touch him. Um, Look, if he was debuted round one, I would have 100% considered him. I probably would have started him over JHF, but now I don't need his points on field. So what am I looking for him from him? Because his break even's not that high. What's his break even
Negative
at?
9.
-9. So okay, so yeah, let's say best case scenario probably turns out a couple of half decent scores on your pine, by the way, and you makes 100 grand. Like that's best case scenario.
Yep.
It's too late in the piece to be bringing in a guy at 200k that you're probably having to sideways a 220 or 230k rookie for. Like I can't see the benefit
Yeah, and even Horn
short and
Francis,
long term.
Horn Francis only gets you like 130K profit if you go to
Nah,
him. And even then we saw with Horn Francis had a couple of good like 90s or whatever, and then all of a sudden just died in the ass with cash. And that's the
yeah.
problem is because these young players, they're not the most consistent. So it's a lot to pay.
One thing I've said this week, and I'll say it to obviously to our listeners out there, is that at this point in the season, I'm not looking for points on field, like from a rookie at all.
Okay, I
All
was
I'm
going to
looking
say in
for is
general.
so for
Yeah,
or I'm looking for is quick cash, so for and a low price to downgrade to, so I can maximize the cash I've made from other rookies, right? So if you're not getting that, and you're not making quick cash, so it's just a complete no for me, especially when there are other options. There's way better rookies to look at, and again, another one that I probably wouldn't recommend, but I would much prefer than Callaghan is Erasmus, who probably plays this week.
nope.
Um,
Head knock.
so, oh, is it concussion? You're kidding?
Head knock, yeah, he's out for a week. I'm pretty sure. Well, they did say
Oh,
head knock in the write up. I think he was being assessed for concussion. I think he's not. I think he's ruled out.
oof. Well, keep an eye on it because
Yeah, keep an eye on.
in the waffle play for he got 34 disposals, 11 marks, 7 tackles. So he's going to obviously have his third game soon. He's on the bubble right now, but he's 166k, so not as bad as obviously 198k Finn Callaghan, but someone who's probably going to get his third game of AFL pretty soon. So one to keep an eye on. In a week like this, I wouldn't be touching him where you've got other options, but he could be one that, check it out. We've got someone joining the podcast here in David Swizz.
Jeez, jumping in. Sing out
um,
when you're there, Swizz.
Yeah, I'm here, boys.
Oh,
there he is. We're just talking about Erasmus, mate.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So look, yeah, again, another one to keep an eye out on. I mean, his break even's only -31, so he's not exactly with his first 2 scores lit the world on fire. But I'd prefer that than Callaghan, and that's saying something considering they both have pretty shaky job security. That neither of them are going to light the world up. And if Erasmus comes in, it's probably at the expense of Nod. So that doesn't really
yeah.
feel
Well,
good.
Nod was more wing though. But can we speak about shaky job security and can we touch on Hobbs, boys? Because I'm in a real fucking pickle right now. I actually still think he keeps his role this week. I'm actually hoping Parrish, literally fucking ups and disappears and perishes from the team for a week. But
That's the only way he holds his job security, in my
I don't
opinion.
know, mate. I reckon your boy, shit forward, I reckon was even
Yeah,
worse. And
but
they keep losing. I think they have to play him, to be honest.
so Kane Baldwin plays a completely different role. So let's just
Yeah, but
park
he's
that.
shit. He's out.
So there's two guys in the VFL that are probably going to come in this week anyway, and that's Devon Smith, who had
Nah.
28 touches in the
Yeah,
VFL,
shit. He'll play forward.
and McDonald, Tip, and Woody, who will come in. So
Also forward.
but Hobbs was playing forward with stints in midfield. So you're trying to
Nah.
battle against the guy that was playing basically forward.
No,
most of the game.
wishful thinking here, Chris, mate. Hobbs will be in the guts. Parrish will
All
be
right.
out, and Parrish will do a heartstring.
Also, I think Hind probably comes in regardless. So even if Laverde is okay, which I don't think he will, I don't think Laverde will come in, but will come out. But if he isn't, then Hind will come straight in for him. If he is, I think Hind comes in anyway at the expense of someone else. So
Yeah. My only
yeah,
hope
so
is
you've
that
got
they keep
there's
losing.
three guys, three senior players that are sitting there waiting to come in, and you're saying, Hobbs is good.
No, I'm being wishful,
maybe.
mate. I'm
If Parrish is out, maybe.
I was hoping he was going to kill it, and again, I blame fucking Roses and Gold Coast being a bunch of shit fucks. But
I actually didn't think he played terrible, to be honest. I think he got the ball. He was in the right spots. He played aggressively, but his ball use was his big issue.
well, it would have been good if who was the supplement player that bloody burnt him on the wing? Tried to do a little bit of a take him on, goal kicker for him. Bloody, what's his name? He was 102,000 last year. Anyway, burnt him on the wing. Literally,
Waterman.
Waterman could have hit him twice. Inside, outside, ducking and weaving. All he had to do was do a little 20-meter pass, but he has no right foot, so he's trying to duck and weave and got done. Absolute fucking nuffy. Cost me a few points.
I was okay with it.
All right, moving on. Eising off to next week.
No. We've still got some. There's still some.
We're not going through 10 more irrelevant fucking rookies, are we?
Well, we should let people know that Kyle Lohman obviously is out for 6 weeks. So if you're looking at that as a potential option,
that's fair.
Then I wouldn't be touching that. Just letting the guys know. Excuse me. And there's also Sam Skinner. So a lot of people are crying out for a defensive downgrade because there are none. There literally, quite frankly, are none. And we've got Paddy McCartan there that's obviously got a week off with concussion protocols, but he's also got a high break even. So even if he does come back, it's going to be a couple of weeks until he can make more cash. So there's a potential, if you don't want to go up, which is probably the preference in this sort of situation, that you could bring in Sam Skinner. He's on the bubble.
Why would you bring in Sam Skinner?
Because he's in the exact same position.
He's not playing. He didn't,
yes, I know.
Didn't play last week. I'm confused.
I know, but he's on the bubble. And so if you need a downgrade option that's not playing anyway, he's probably the best one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but the issue is that Port have some more defenders coming back into the fold anyway soon. Anyway.
It's an option.
Right.
It's an option. I'm not saying it's the best option. I'm just saying that people are looking for a downgrade defender option.
Right.
He's the only one.
Well, I think the fact that you've got Dacos and possibly not in your side, put Dacos into defense and go and get Clark or someone
else. What happens if people already have Dacos in defense?
Well, then they're fucking idiots. We move on.
I've been looking at this from like 16 different angles, and the only way that I can get rid of McCartan is by going up. I don't think that Skinner is a good option, but he's the best of a bad situation.
Horn Francis down and McCartan up. Problem solved. Looking forward to next week, though. You got Oliver Dempsey, 102,000. Not sure if he keeps his spot. Well, it's funny in the write-up today saying that Dalhouse might even replace him. I was like, good luck. Dalhouse is old and cooked. I know, right?
Dempsey killed him.
Yes, yeah. I agree. Forward pressure.
Dalhouse has been shit for ages. So.
I agree.
I'll talk about him, Benny, because I was there watching him. And that's very raw, very, very skinny. So he's going to need some time there. Got into some good positions. The poor kid missed the ultimate first goal moment. He would have had 10 or 12 mates down there. They were all behind him for he'd kick his first goal, and he's just guided it through the points. I dead set that would have been bigger than Buddies the way those boys would have ran on and celebrated him. But, yeah, I can see him going to get some more games throughout the season. I think he's going to be one of those guys that will probably play 2, get dropped back for a couple of weeks, come back in again. He'll be in and out just to let him develop and get used to the game. But I think as a 102K option, you could do a lot worse than him.
I agree, especially if he's named for that third week. I don't mind freeing up that cash, and especially as that pressure sort of forward. Um, yeah, the mates he had on the hill had the painting on their chest, and I don't know, was it cold down there, Swizz, mate? Because I
It was
saw a few
actually a beautiful,
frosted.
beautiful day. It was like my mates took their jackets and they were like, "Why do we need these?" It was better weather than Melbourne, and those boys they had snuck into our area. Security were trying to move them on, and they just gave up because these boys weren't moving for anything. But unfortunately, he missed, and then they moved back to where they were sitting, and then he kicked his goal later on. So they were still celebrating, but not as well as if he'd kicked that one, I would have expected him to jump into the crowd with those boys and celebrate. It would have been unreal.
That is
I mean,
definitely awesome.
the fact of the matter is this, though, with him, right? If he gets anywhere close to 60, he has to be in your side at his price. I don't think, especially if he gets named, obviously, for a third game. So he's just an absolute lock for next week. But I wouldn't be bringing him early. And I suppose the same can be said about the next two, which is Paul Curtis and Robbie McComb, which are the other two guys that also played. And Paul Curtis is a 117k forward playing for North. And Robert McComb is a midfielder, 102k, playing for the Bulldogs, but he only scored a 37. However, I actually, again, I know he only scored 37, but I didn't think he was bad by any stretch. Whether or not he gets a run in that team is another question. But we've seen it before with Bevo that he actually doesn't mind playing these mature age rookies and giving them an extended time in the team. So look, he could come out and play the next 4 to 6 games and surprise a few. And he's been absolutely destroying the VFL. So look, yeah, look, I'm looking at him. I'm seriously looking at McComb as a mid downgrade target for next week. So yeah,
Yeah, it's not.
Curtis
I don't
didn't
mind.
really impress me, but he scored all right. So
I don't mind that one as much. But the one I really like, and you mentioned him, was Paul Curtis. He
oh,
looked
you like him?
He looked North's best option in the forward line. He was lively. He did, and maybe
That's
that
just
says a
not
lot about
saying
North
much, though,
Melbourne.
is it?
But he was lively. He was presenting to the ball. He was taking
Mm-hmm.
marks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like what do you have in the end? 11 touches, 4 marks. He kicked 1-3. Like, and a couple of those misses was probably just early nerves. So he could have definitely had a big 100-point game there. So he's the one to definitely watch this week against Carlton. If he keeps playing that sort of lead up, and he's going to cop the fifth or sixth best defender, um, he could definitely get a 60 or 70 again.
Yeah, and if he does, then he's obviously in most of our teams. I think in my team right now, I'm actually I'm hoping that only one of those forwards goes well next week, because bringing two forwards, like forward only rookies, in at the same time when we already have, most of us have 5 premium forwards essentially, with Brody if you include him. Um, where are your downgrade options? How are you getting rid of these guys, especially with bringing Roses in this week? So,
Especially if Dixon
uh,
doesn't even play for West Coast,
Mm.
then it's kind of like, well,
yeah,
he's got another 50 to 100 to make, so it's like you're not going to cut him short.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, even
We
if,
the
let's say
perfect word.
Dixon,
Sorry, mate.
yeah,
You go.
even if Dixon does not play, let's say he does play, and then I need to downgrade him. I can't get him to a forward anyway, because I'm actually trading Cherry this week, so I'd have no one to replace him in the ruck line, because I've only got Pruess and Haynes. So I have to go up with Dixon, not down. It doesn't really help. So yeah, it'll be interesting moving forward, seeing what I can do. The one thing that helps it out is I can obviously move. I've got Connor McDonald in midfield, so you could obviously switch him with, say, a Brody or something like that. Pop Brody on field in your midfield if you've got this room, but I'd be playing Brody ahead of Rowell and loopholing Rowell. Like, I mean, look, this is a luxury, guys. Really, to be fair, but at this stage of season, I read a tweet earlier today. One of the coolest things I read was someone said it's round 7 and I've got 2 rookies scoring averaging less than 70, less than 73 or something, and I only have 1 rookie averaging less than 85. So on my field, which is just insane. Like, it's crazy that this early in the season teams are this good. Obviously it's part of that's trades. We've had the extra trades. I think the trade boost has been a real big success. But I think what that actually does with the trade boost and having extra trades, what it's really created is you're going to get your better teams a lot quicker this year than you have in previous years. So most teams are going to be filled out before the end of the buys, not at the end of the buys. That's another 3 weeks of points and 3 weeks of scoring that we didn't have with the same amount, with more trades in hand.
Hey,
which is
Chris.
just, yeah.
You think that's bad, mate? It's outside of O'Driscoll, Whitfield is scoring the least on field out of anyone in my team. Dacos is outscoring him. Berry's outscoring him. Pruess is outscoring him. Martin's outscoring him. Cherry, Cornelio, you fucking name it, they're outscoring Whitfield. He is the second worst scorer on my field.
You can lead a fucking horse to water, mate, but you can't make it drink.
Well, look, you know what they say.
I know what your middle name is, and it's not actually Danger. All right. So those, yeah. So now Curtis, I mean, we've already discussed.
What about Clark from West Coast?
Yeah. So that's the other one. Look, I said this today in a chat that we're all in. Obviously, I still think it's relevant, and I think that today is probably the right time to bring it up. Is that still don't, if you can avoid it, absolutely do not go early ever on rookies. Ever. Doesn't matter what they're scoring, unless you are absolutely in dire need and you need a specific, like I need a defender rookie. There's none available. He's looked like he's the best scorer in 3 years, and yeah, I'm going to grab on that. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Now, the good thing with Clark is he does look like potentially he could be one of those guys that absolutely comes in and tears it up from day one.
That's where the confidence comes in, though, is that everyone's like, oh, they're big on him in the preseason. So then when you hear, hey, he's going to debut, everyone's like, fuck yeah, get in my side. It's like, but it's not the start of the season anymore. I agree. Ever since coming from GWS ruined me after I went early. Ever since that, I am not coming early ever. I swear to God.
He's still paying you back because he's still ruining Whitfield's score every week.
Yeah, well, there you go. But ever since then, and last week was the only week I had to bring in someone early because I was locked. You fucker. I was literally I was locked.
The thing with Clark, he's good, was the top disposal getter on the waffle on the weekend. So no problem wanting the ball. But yeah, I agree. I think I brought in Sam Hayes early just because I knew who was taking his ruck spot. But yeah, for these other guys, midfielders and that, as you said, you want to wait until they're on their bubble because I think it was last year, it was Frederick ended up getting injured second game or something like that, or Lockie Jones, one of those. So yeah, anything can still happen. And especially there's more COVID over there in Perth, I believe, with their players. So yeah, you could bring him in next week. He gets COVID and then he misses a week anyway.
This week's the Demons week, mate. They're all missing.
Yeah,
one by one, they go down.
You don't get
falling like dominoes, and you know what? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Max gone.
Oh, fuck. I was gonna say you don't get
no one left.
You don't get COVID when you're in the rehab group, mate. So the time is now for him. Although all the team, it's already run through the whole team. It's like an Essendon fan club, just a groupie just gets trained on.
What? How is that? I don't know how that's a thing, but
I don't know.
Sometimes, Ben, you just gotta check your stuff before you wreck yourself. Oh, it's the scotch, of course. He's half a nip down.
Okay, look, I think that wraps us up for the rookies, boys, and everyone that's on the horizon.
Probably should to touch on rookies to trade out, guys.
Oh yes.
So before we get out of here, now I'll probably lead this chat because this is something I've been thinking about heavily.
It's a fire sale,
especially today.
Fire sale,
but
boys.
The big news with Cherry and CCJ having an absolute blinder over the weekend. David Noble's press conference today, which highlighted that they are considering bringing CCJ in, but they're also not considering dropping Goldie. So that tells me either A, Cherry's dropped, or B, they're going to play all three, because he also said that they are happy with the rucks. Now, I'm not sure. Here's where they're that's a little bit convoluted. Is that he could just say that because he's like, I don't want to hurt Cherry's feelings, but I also want to play CCJ. So he probably publicly will say something along the lines of, oh yeah, no, our rucks have been going great. But behind closed doors, he pulls Cherry aside and says, hey, look, we're going to play CCJ this week. Go back to the VFL, have a bit of find some form or whatever it is that they say inside the inner walls. But I'm very worried that team sheets come out and either all three are named or Cherry's dropped. And I think that is more likely than unlikely at this stage. So I'm planning my trades around Cherry out, because if he hits a 39 like he did last time that they played, what was the first score that he played with all three of them? It was game one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Let's have a
game
look
one and
at.
then not again. I think it was.
And what was his score there, guys? Do we
Ugh.
have that up? He's got it now. The positive obviously is he's got to break even at 30.
He got a 40. No, 79. He got
42.
round one.
Yeah, 79.
79 he got around. That's actually not too bad. So maybe he'll still make cash
Well, mind
regardless.
you, CCJ got like, I think he nearly had a possession near halftime and got tackled and got done holding the ball. So he absolutely shut up the bed. I'm also Horn Francis and Rochelle, both heavily owned, both now stagnated heaps in cash. The reason I call it a fire sale is I think it's kind of time to move these boys on. Boys, what do you reckon?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of Rochelle. Break even is a real thing. That's essentially it. I don't have Horn Francis because he's a dud and was a dud from the start. So,
what's Rochelle's break even?
let me have a look.
80 something. I don't know.
85. Okay, so they're both sitting around.
I've already traded him and Horn Francis out, so
I think it's a good move though. Free up that cash, get an upgrade on field to replace that inconsistency. And that's why I put Horn Francis on the bench this week, just gone, because he might go well and he has the potential to, but now those poor performances have crept up their break even and they're too inconsistent. Like they might do you well one week and get you a 90, or if it's a Rochelle, he might impact a game and go 100, but then he can go anywhere from like 30 to 50 the next week. So on field, he's going to win you a matchup and then lose you a matchup. And now their break evens, both their break evens are in the 80s, which means basically it's double downgrade and upgrade, or however you need to do it. But these boys, it's time to move on.
He went head to head with Selwood on the weekend, all around the stoppages and that. Obviously, Selwood just taught him a lesson, but it was more I think, a learning, a lesson from Noble, just to teach him how to, find the ball and be around somebody who's that good. And then when he got the ball, he just tried to do a bit too much, or there were no forwards leading at him. So, yeah, he was always, this week was going to be his last week.
That's why I said it's a fire sale, Swizz, because they're selling all the wood, mate. Sell wood. So, yeah, move them on, boys. Get them gone. Sell wood.
The other one's obviously McCartan. We've touched on him already a little bit in terms of you're best to go up if you can. But is it worth holding him, guys? You know what? He was on track
for an 80
in this game for his probably best return.
Yep.
And I actually think that if we were to hold him, he's got more money to make. I reckon he could probably get to at least 300k. But I understand if people need to move him on as well.
Yeah.
And especially because, he's missing a week. He has a break even now of 65 or something like that.
No, 44.
What's his
44.
Yeah, still good.
That's actually not too bad.
Still good. If you need a defender and you have to move him on, then I'd be okay with it. Otherwise, I think you got, with Grundy out and heavily owned, Horn Francis, Rochelle, and these other guys, I'd rather be banking that cash. And then that way, by the time you've done those downgrades and probably go one upgrade, hopefully with some extra cash in the bank, McCartan's back next week. Bang, he's playing. Break even to 44, still makes you a bit of money. And then you can actually look and decide and move on from there.
Yep.
Swizz?
Yeah. The other one is Connor McDonald that's got a break even of 24. He's only got really one more week of cash to make, really, in my opinion, because with that 30 in his cycle and the high of 53 that was 2 weeks ago, if he doesn't hit another score this week, he's going to pretty much plateau at just under 200k. So hopefully Connor McDonald can show us a little bit more this week.
I think it's a bit better. He got 23 3 rounds ago. So I think by the time even now his break even, it can't be that bad. He hasn't made enough cash. He's on 183. So how bad do you have to shit the how bad do you have to shit the bed?
Look at his scoring, bro.
It's so bad. But if you got a few more 50s, or if he actually gets 160 and actually kicks a couple goals in a game, he needs to kick 2 goals in a game and get the 60 plus and actually get to 220 so I can fuck him off a Dempsey.
Hawks were obviously winning games earlier in the season, and they've obviously with him kicking goals in those winning teams, it was worth a lot more. But yeah, it's I'm not sure how much longer he's got in the first team, and Definitely not sure how long he's got in my team, but he's one I'm looking at getting rid of.
There's no cash there either.
Yeah,
I know,
so
that's frustrating.
those three boys out of the Hawthorn Sydney game, yeah, McCartan, great, continues to be one of the better intercept marks in the game. So I would rather hold on to him because he's always got that chance to take 3, 4, 5 intercept marks and get a 70 or 80. McDonald just loves to handball too much when he actually gets it. And he just doesn't get it enough. Like watching him live, I just don't see where he's going to get his cash rise to get us up. Unfortunately, now I could see him getting dropped this week. And then Ward does everything right, gets into the right positions, looks really good. Just tried to do too much, or if he gets it sometimes under pressure, he does butcher the ball. But God, that kid's going to be a gun going forward. Unfortunately, like he's the fact that they continue to back him in around the ball. I still think there's that one scorer there with him, but it's starting to get to the point where we're running out of time to see it because I think it's a break even of 26. So he's probably got one, maybe two more games, but he's not an urgent. But I'd love him, to come in and do what like Gipkus did last week and score 100 or an 80 or something just to get it started again.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I suppose we're almost scraping the barrel for rookies to trade out moving forward. So he really does have 1, maybe 2 weeks absolute max. And if he doesn't spike a score between now and then, he's going to be out of most teams. So I think that does
the
pretty
rookies
much wrap us up, guys.
Yes.
Oh, Berry, what are you guys doing with Berry? Raoul, I suppose, does that really count?
I guess we can look at just in general, just the trade outs. But for me, what is it? Both have a break even of 62 for Berry, 66 for Real. I'm kind of trying to hold them as long as I can, to be honest, because they're still going to break. Berry hasn't even had a good game yet. He's just been chipping away with those sort of 70s and 80s. A ton is coming for Berry at some point, hopefully. So it's he has the potential and he has a role to have a good game. It's just about when it sort of happens. So for me, I'm kind of holding both of those. And I'd rather, if I've got all the rookies off the field and they're my biggest issue, then I'm looking to upgrade at that point. What do you reckon?
Yep, I got no issue with that. Unfortunately, I've already gone early on Raoul, friggin' hell. But Berry, I've still got confidence he's just going to keep chipping his 80s away, and that's fine.
Yeah, Brisbane's also draw. They play Sydney this week. They play West Coast next week, then Adelaide, then Hawks, then Giants. So I think there's definitely a few games there where someone like Berry could actually go well.
Yeah, he's done like 150 in the past. There's no reason why. I don't think he might not do that, but especially that West Coast game, if the Lions get up early and start cruising around, you never know. They might go Neil or Lions. Maybe this is the game you spend a bit more time forward because we've got bigger games coming up, and maybe Berry, Rayner, you get in there and do the job for us.
Not only that, Berry's been on like 50 to 60 at least 3 times by halftime and then just kind of fizzled away. So I think, he was just dumping the ball long. I think he's now actually starting to kind of go, okay, and starting to process the other options. Whereas originally it was like, get the ball, oh shit, and just dumping it. Even like Real was doing it. It was just, when you've been out and you've been out of form.
I love a good kick to a contest, though, for points.
Pretty much. But
it's great for Supercoach.
But yeah, that's pretty much about it as far as that goes. I'm just trying to see if there's any other real issues there. I think it's holding Butters, holding everyone else at this point in time. So, look, that's it for us. We'll go and do another stream now. We'll talk about just the ruck dilemma, and we'll tie in the premium discussion with that because generally the ruck and the Grundy situation is interchangeable as to what premium you're going to get in and then who would you get in for that. So we'll pretty much do a huge, big-ass Grundy debate coming up next. Talk to you soon.
Catch you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.